Killed and wounded, 2,717,991. You can just kind of see what was going on here. And of course, the number one war, no doubt about it, was the Civil War. There was 625 deaths. That was 1861 to 1865. World War II, there was 405 million, 405,000, excuse me. That would be more than the population. 399. And in the World War I, that was when we had the Armistice Day, Decoration Day, 116,519. In the Vietnam War, 58,209. In the Korean War, 36,516. And the Revolutionary War, there were 25,000 that died from 1775 to 1783. And in the War of 1812, 15,000 died. And the Mexican-American War, 13,283 died. And these were some of the wars here, and what the numbers added up there for the U.S. So again, some of these major wars here, a lot of sacrifice has been given, and Jerry Pippin summed that up in our introduction, so I will not go back there. The music was played there by Mr. Ives, and after we are concluded here, we'll go to an interview with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is on the subcommittee on Veteran Affairs in the Senate, and he will talk about the plight of veterans today as we continue and summarize our coverage here. We'll go out with the entertainer John Lee Hooker and singing Decoration Day. This is Boston Red for the Memorial Day 2013 production. And as the poet laureate of Newark, New Jersey would say, something needed on this day. Peace out. Good day. For myself, it was produced by Boston Red, and Jerry Pippin was the recording artist here. I'm doing the back.
One is going to go ahead with the first question.
So one of the things we've heard over the last few weeks is that the Veterans Affairs Department has missed a number of internal deadlines when it comes to cutting down those backlogs of really hundreds of thousands of claims. Can you kind of give us a 30,000 feet view of what this problem looks like and what you're hearing on the Hill?
Okay, here's the 30,000 view. Number one, what's important to understand is that for whatever reason, and I don't want to cast aspersions, the VA was maybe one of the very few major institutions in American society that did not go from paper to digital. They didn't do that until Shinseki became secretary. So the first question that we have to ask, how come? Why? Social Security did it years ago. Every major corporation obviously made the transition. So Shinseki comes into office, and what ends up happening is there is a huge influx of new claims. Now, what many people don't understand is that, yes, the backlog is unacceptably long. We are all embarrassed that veterans in this country, in some cases, are waiting years to get their benefits processed. Unacceptable. End of discussion. On the other hand, what many people don't know is that two things. Number one, the VA has finally done what should have been done years ago. And I think they deserve credit for finally saying, look, we're going to move to paper. And Shinseki announced a very ambitious goal. I'm a politician, and let me tell you something. Politicians don't get up there and say, you know what, at a certain point, I'm going to accomplish this. And what Shinseki said is at the end of 2015, all claims are going to be processed within 125 days with 98% accuracy. So he didn't beat around the bush. He was out there. Now, is he going to do that? My job, among many others, is to make sure that he does do that. Second point that I would make that many people don't know. We can beat up on the VA, fair enough, and we should. But we should also know is, guess what? They're processing far more claims now than they've ever processed before. What's happening is more and more claims are coming in, and not just from the young people from Iraq and Afghanistan, but from veterans from Vietnam who already have benefits and want to upgrade those benefits.
Well, then, sir, that raises the question: if these goals are unrealistic, or is the execution flawed?
You didn't hear me say that they're unrealistic.
No, but that's my question for you. Given the fact that all these new claims are coming in, and they've set goals, is it unrealistic for them to set
all
those
that
goals?
I can tell you is very, very recently I sat down with General Shinseki and I said, look, here are your goals. This is what you stated. Are you going to do it? And he gave me a very short answer, and the answer is yes, he is. And they are in the process now of undertaking, again, something that should have been done years ago. I have no idea why the VA was the last guy on the block to move in this direction. But they're going from an incredible amount of paper into the digital world. As I understand it now, some 40 out of the 56 regional centers have now moved in that direction. New claims that are coming in are now being processed in a digital way. Now, we are going to introduce legislation. I mean, the Secretary has said he wants to do this. They keep saying they're going to do it. Our job is to make sure that they do it. What we do not want to do is find out that in November of 2015, VA walks in and says, guess what? We were unable to do it. It's going to take us another 5 years. That would be unacceptable. So we are monitoring them very, very closely. We have legislation which is going to have them on a quarterly basis saying, look, this is where we projected we would be. This is where we are. So there will not be any surprises. And if they are not moving as fast as they should be, we will find out why, and we will provide the resources to make them achieve that goal. So the only point that I want to make is the backlog is unacceptable. Shinseki deserves credit for doing what should have been done years ago and for proclaiming a very ambitious goal. Our job is to make sure that he gets there.
Senator, the VA has been under so much pressure in recent months on this issue, series of media reports, hearings on Capitol Hill, and they've been trotting out these initiatives almost on a weekly basis in recent weeks, mandatory overtime, putting veterans who've been waiting over a year basically at the head of the line. What do you make of these initiatives? Are they serious, or do you think that they're just a dog and pony show trying to act like they're doing something?
Again, what most politicians do, if you say we got a problem, you get, well, we're going to work on this problem and I'm going to do my best. Shinseki announced some very specific goals. We will know whether he succeeds or not. And that's, in my mind, a pretty brave thing to do. So if he doesn't make it, you'll be there. Washington Post will be there criticizing him, as I will. I think what they are trying to do now is to respond to some of the pressure. And let me say this. People who are putting pressure on the VA are absolutely right. What we have now is inexcusable. On the other hand, what should also be known, and doesn't get quite as much media attention, is that many of the major veterans organizations, the Disabled American Vets, the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, they came into the hearing. We held our very first hearing when I became chairman on this issue, because we see it as a hugely important issue. And you know what these organizations said? They said, first of all, we are getting more access to the VA and to the leadership than we ever had before. We're able to give input, and we think that they are moving in the right direction. It is not going to happen overnight. So I think a little bit overshadowed in this discussion are the organizations representing many, many millions of veterans who do in fact believe that the VA is on the right track. So my job, again, is to make sure that these very ambitious goals are achieved and to work with the Secretary to make sure that they happen.
But you've also heard some of these organizations say that they're less satisfied with Secretary Shinseki's performance than that of his undersecretary. Some have even called for both of them to either be resign or to be fired. What do you say to those kinds of groups?
I disagree, and I think these, again, this is not coming from the VFW, it's not coming from the Disabled American Veterans, and these are the guys, by the way, who work with hundreds of thousands of veterans who are processing claims. You have what they are trying to do now should have been done 10 years ago, should have been done 20 years ago, okay? So I think General Hickey is working extremely hard. I respect General Shinseki very much. I think you have serious people undertaking a very difficult job, and you can take pot shots at them all of the time. Will they succeed? I don't know. But my job is to do everything I can to make sure that they do succeed. And according to the VA today, they are on track to accomplish what they have decided, their goal.
Just for our viewers, if they don't know who General Hickey is, she is in charge of this VA backlog, correct?
She is in charge of the agency dealing with the backlog, correct.
You said before, though, Senator, it's okay for those in Congress and others to be putting pressure on the VA over this issue. Do you see then that if, say, General Hickey were to resign or step down, that might help put more pressure on them? Could you see that side of it?
That's one way of looking at it, but the other way of looking at it could slow down the entire process. Okay? Again, I don't want to beat a dead hog, whatever you're supposed to beat when a dead horse here. The real question is, Steve, I don't know, you raise it, why didn't they do this 10 years ago? Why didn't they do this 20 years ago? So a guy comes in, he says, I'm going to do it. Well, first of all, dealing with the huge claims, and by the way, the VA also said appropriately to soldiers, to service members who served in Vietnam, you know what they said? By the way, you're going to be eligible for a whole host of other benefits because of exposure to Agent Orange. That's exactly the right thing to do. Hundreds of thousands of claims came in there. So sometimes, you can fire you, can fire everybody, and maybe you bring in people who will improve the situation. Maybe not. Maybe you slow down the progress that you in fact have been making. So where I'm looking at is, I'm not suggesting that they're moving perfectly, but they have at least accepted the responsibility of moving from paper to a paperless system. They have welcomed new benefits that Vietnam vets, among others, should be entitled to, bringing in more claims. They are processing more claims now than they have ever done before. Our job is to monitor them, provide oversight, make sure they do what they said they would do.
What do you make of the split between the veterans groups on some of these issues? The Iraq and Afghanistan veterans have called for a presidential commission to look into the backlog, and other groups say, no, that'd be a waste of time. Are they competing over the resources, or what is it?
I wouldn't say they're competing over the resources. The younger veterans are impatient, and they're right. I'm not here to criticize them. But the older veterans who have been around for a long time, who have fought for years, by the way, to move to a paperless system, are seeing, in their view, I remember, I think it was a fellow from the DAV said, we think the VA is moving in the right direction. So when you have a massive undertaking, I think we have to put as much pressure as we can on the VA to do the right thing. But I happen to think, as I said, that Shinseki is a serious person. General Allison Hickey, I think, is serious, working hard, and we're seeing some progress. Our job is to make sure they achieve their goals.
What about a presidential commission, though?
I think, look, you can have a presidential commission. The president has been very strong on this. He has provided good funding for the VA. He has been right up front about the need to address this issue. So it's not like the president is sleeping. So I think sometimes you have commissions, and then what we do, we bring these people in for 18 more hearings. What are you doing? And in the real world, that slows down the progress that you're making. So,
how much responsibility do you think that the Pentagon has for this? You saw 20 House members actually send a letter to the president suggesting they've been woefully inefficient in providing records to the VA.
I think that's an excellent question. And I think that we have got to look at the DOD a lot more closely than we have looked. At the end of the day, I think everybody agrees, what do you want? What you want is a system, a paperless system. When somebody goes in to the armed forces, from day one until that person leaves this planet, we have access to their medical records. There should not be two separate worlds. And in fact, the DOD has, in my view, not done as much as they should to help us in that direction. Now, right now, as you know, there is a major, major discussion about medical health records and need to create one system. When Leon Panetta was Secretary of Defense, working with Secretary Shinseki, that was their goal. That they say one system. Now there is some discussion about interoperable systems, two separate systems that could so-called talk to each other. I have some concerns about that. What my understanding is that the VISTA system, which is currently the health technology system used by the VA, is a very, very effective system, high quality and cost effective. The question is, why is the DOD not working within that system? And we will see what happens.
Do you agree with the House members when they say that President Obama should intervene personally on this issue and force DOD to cooperate more?
Yes. I mean, I think we need,